What is up? What is up, everybody? It is me, Mike Vanderpool, and we are here. I'm a little early. It's 3:21 p.m. We are going to be talking about AI here today. Going to go ahead and make sure I can let my people know. Boom, 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 boom. There you go. There you go. Let's go make it happen. Hi. Oh, so let's see. Start with AI. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Hey, what's up? How are you doing? If you're out there, say hi. Say hello. All right. Boom, 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 boom. If we need a sponsor, I'll drink your drink if you sponsor my thing. Oh, so how do we want to do this today? We'll put that over there. Let's go ahead and put this right here. I think that'll make sense. That can go over there for the screen share. And then what else do we want? We want the let's go to my friend GitHub. Vanderpool teacher. Repositories, example repo. Nope, start with AI. Boom, shalak, lock, boom. Let's go ahead and pull this into its own thing so we don't have all the clutter. Pull that over to its own page as well. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. And then I think what we'll want to show is there we go, there we go. And then one last thing. All right, all right. I have a water. That's great. And we'll come in here. Hey, how are you doing? It is 3:26. If you're out there watching, we'll get started here shortly, and we'll talk about getting started with AI. And then let me go ahead and settings. Let me go ahead and just share my screen so y'all can see that I'm actually doing something here and not just hanging out doing nothing. Share my screen. And we will share, let's just share the entire screen. Not this one, that one. There we go. There we go. And then we'll come over to Pages, open that in a new tab. And boom, shalak, boom, start with AI. Da, 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 da. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Mitch? Can I call you Mitch? Does that work for you? What do you hope to learn today? There we go. That's what we're going to do here. And I'll pin that, show that, and we'll star that. So it should show up at the top. All right, all right. And then let's shrink that down a little bit. There we go. We don't need to shrink that down. We'll go there. Okay. And yes. What can we do this? Yeah, we'll do it this way. Okay. So I'm going to be going through and talking about a whole bunch of stuff right now, and hopefully we keep this clean and clear and organized. Okay, there we go. Perfect, Mitch. That'll work. And you can hear me okay, I'm assuming. Everybody can hear me okay. We may have another guest in studio, which could be kind of cool. What's that one? Okay, I kind of like that over there, maybe down there. We like that. Yeah, we'll hang out down here. So a couple things, Mitch, is I'm actually going to give you access here to a link. This is where you're going to find everything that we're building today, and also any other resources that I develop after the fact for this course, because this is a course here that I put together fairly quickly, and we'll go ahead and talk through some of that. Let me do this. I'm going to put this down. So Mitch, just out of curiosity, what tools are you using? Anybody else that's out there watching, what tools are you using with AI right now? And then I'll get started right at about 3:30. Well, Mitch, I got to tell you this. We only had like one person register on the site and one other person that's maybe going to show up. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out for us, if I'm being honest. You never know. But it is a live stream. It is recorded. I'm also then going to take this and turn this into some learning content that you'll have after the fact. I think it will be cool for everybody involved. And really, I'm going to show you 3 tools today that I have been able to have the most success with. So it is 3:30 on the clock. Again, it is me, Mike Vanderpool, Anthony Wayne Innovation and Design, and I'm going to go through and talk today about getting started with AI. If you have any questions, please throw those in the chat. If you want to have a bigger conversation around some of this stuff, please, we'll find a way to get together so we can talk through things. But first things first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through and just explain a little bit about my journey with AI that has led me to this point of where I think everyone should start with AI. All right. So I have been playing around with AI since ChatGPT first popped off, right? And I have used ChatGPT for a ton of things. I've used it for creating images. I've used it for creating videos. I've used it for planning. I've used it for writing code. I've used it for organization.
Handoff written dot. Clock.
There's my AI talking to me. So, hey, what's up, Dave? How are you doing? Dave, I slacked you a link that goes to the actual invite on here. So, Dave, if you wanted to talk and interact, we could actually, if you click on that link that I put in Slack, you could come and hang out here as well. So, I'll keep it brief, right? I've been playing around with AI for a long time, and I've used it for a ton of things. I've used AI to write a 400-page book when ChatGPT first came out that nobody's bought because it's not very good. I have used AI to design systems for building curriculum. I'm using AI right now to build a learning and design department for a company. I've used AI to create images, to create videos, to create processes. So I have been knee deep in building with AI since ChatGPT really popped off. Okay, Claude, that's awesome. Are you paying for Claude? Yes, and I've also used Base 44 to come up with the website. So I'm not going to do a whole big show and tell of the things that I've built. We might get into that a little bit. But for me, what I have learned from talking to a wide variety of people, from professionals to people who are tech people, to people who are just working professionals, like in leadership roles, to college students, everything else. What I think everyone should do out of the gate to really start to understand not just how to make things with AI, but to build things with AI and use AI as a design and build partner. That's what we're going to go over today. So first things first, Dave, I don't know if you can see it, but I did drop a URL in the chat here. There he is. Hold on. We'll see if we can get Dave in here. Add Dave to the stage. And then I think if I switch this view, Dave, can I show you? I'm going to show Dave on camera if he's okay with that. If not, I may have to get him off of there. But there's my friend Dave. Can I hear you, Dave? You're muted. Can I unmute you? Cannot unmute you because you've chosen to mute yourself. So if you want to talk, Dave, if you want to talk to me, you're going to have to unmute yourself. There you are.
Sorry, I had another session open, and so there was about a 5-second delay, and I was hearing two mics.
Well, hey, two mics. Two mics are better than one, right? So welcome in. I'm joined here by Dave Schoaf. He is with Cool Cat Science. They're doing some awesome tech training for folks here in our local community. We have Mitch in the audience, Dave. I don't know who else will join, but if we see anything in the chat, I'll talk to him. So, Dave, a question for you. You know enough about me, so I don't have to ramble too much. What are you hoping to learn today?
So I have a Google Workspace. So I have a paid version of Gemini, and along with that comes Notebook LM. So okay. I'm kind of using it. I don't think I'm using it optimally, and it's not really doing work for me unless I ask it a question. And it does pretty good as far as answering my questions, but it isn't doing any work. And there's a lot of work that I have that I don't get done because I just don't have time. And that's email management and to-do list management. Well, so that's really what I'm hoping to figure out, how to just manage the tasks that I have, get them done. And the thing is I'm pretty good at making a list and getting it done. What I'm not good at is continuing to make the list. I'll get overwhelmed and I'll make this giant list and I'll put it into AI and say, put this on my task list. And then I wait till I'm overwhelmed again. And if there was some way to smooth that out so that list just kind of happened without me being, having to ask it or take a scan of something or, that kind of thing. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
All right. Sweet. So what AI tools are you paying for?
We've got Google Workspace that we pay for. It's a Google for Business. And so we got just a couple users, me and Paula and one student. And then, and we pay extra for AI. So I think our bill went from $35 a month to like $55 a month. So we're paying extra.
Okay.
And we've got this, and so we got Gemini and we got Notebook LM, and then I still have a $20 a month seat of Chat GPT that I only, I just need to turn that thing off because I only use it to ask questions about Gemini.
Interesting. Yeah. So I pay $20 a month for Claude. I pay $50 a month for my Google that I use, primarily for the video storage that I have. So I do get some AI credits for that because I do video work. So there's a lot of storage that's required there. So $20 a month for ChatGPT, $50 a month for my access to the Google stuff. Personally, I do not like the Google AI tools other than the video tool that I use. The tool that I'm most heavily invested in is Claude. I pay $200 a month for Claude, and I get at least 20 times the value out of that for all of the work that I'm doing.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. And again, for me, right, I'm building my own curriculum. I've got clients I'm doing work for, everything like that. So
yeah, we're building a lot of curriculum, and I'm using Notebook LM. I'll create a notebook just to do a particular course. And then I wouldn't, it's kind of hit or miss. I give it my, I've got everything loaded into it about what I want for the, the foundational documents and what I want the class to be about. But it can't really create me a lesson plan that I don't end up having to totally rework.
Okay, fair. And that's where I think after today, or maybe even during the talk today, what I envision is that you probably end up spending $20 a month on Claude Cowork and Claude Code. So
you said 200, now you said 20. So
you can probably get away with the $20 subscription to get started. I'm paying for the $200 a month subscription because of how much I'm using it.
Oh, okay.
So with Claude, there's a $20 a month. Well, there's free Claude, which gives you basically the chat version of it. And then there's a $20 a month version that unlocks what's called Claude Code and Cowork, which allows Claude to do things on your computer for you. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through and do a little bit of show and tell of what I'm doing. And then we'll talk through how I'm building it. Okay. So you have multiple ways that you can use Claude. You can use Claude in the browser. You can use Claude on the desktop app, and you can use Claude in a Chrome extension. I have found the most success actually using Claude in the terminal. So for those of you that don't know, Dave, I'm assuming you're familiar with the terminal. You're a fairly seasoned programmer. You've probably used the terminal at least once.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's all we had back in the day, right? So I've installed Claude on my computer, and I can access Claude in the terminal, which is what I've got going on over here on the left side of the screen. Now, the words that you read may not be that important, right? You don't need to read any of that.
Yeah.
But what this is here, and I'll kind of scroll through this. This is the conversation and the work that I've been doing with Claude this morning. It's 100% a lot of reading. And that's the thing that I've found more than anything else. The way that I'm using AI, I am reading more than I ever have in my whole entire life, because it's producing content that I'm reading. It's producing specifications that I'm improving. Before I do any real work, I'll go ahead and plan it out first with Claude. So
no, it doesn't look like the terminal, like I'm used to command line and that sort of thing for terminal. This isn't that. This is it's just totally English language conversation in it, right?
Well, that's what's interesting. And I'll back up because it's a good point, Mitch, or I'll get there in a hot second. So how to pull up the terminal. But as you can see, all of this conversation here is me working with Claude this morning in the terminal. I went here and I did something called a handoff. This is something that I've built, and I'll show you how I built it. And basically what this is doing is this is creating a file of all of the work that I did today up to this point and creating and keeping a record of it. So it's the record of this session that I have. All right. But again, we'll pause there, and I'm just going to close this out. Right. I'm going to close out the terminal. That's why I did the handoff, so I could actually close this without worrying about it. And then for us on a Mac user, and then I don't know on Windows, but on a Mac user, right, we just go into our applications, and then we can just open the terminal. And the terminal window popped up somewhere. Who knows where it popped up? I'll be able to drag it over here in a second, I hope. Boom, boom, boom. Where did my terminal window go? Where did my terminal window go?
Claude's shy. He's shy.
Well, it's like, here's the thing, right? I'm doing a live demo, and live demos, you're never supposed to do a live demo, right? Because it ends up breaking, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what we have to do here is live. All right, this is funny because it's not showing up anywhere. Let's see here. Where would it go? Where would it go? Why would this do this to me today, of all days? Well, here I'm going to show. Let me try a different way. So I'm going to go into my Finder, right? And this is like your Windows Explorer, because this is really the terminal is just a view into your folders, right? So here's a folder for a client that I'm doing some work for, some courses that I'm building. 100% of this folder structure here that you see, Dave and Mitch, this is all created with AI. Every single bit of everything that you see in here is created by me prompting AI and building tools with AI to build this stuff. So my AI assistant that I use, she's called Kate, or it's called Kate. I shouldn't call it a she, but I've given it the name Kate because Kate is easy to say. So this is my virtual assistant that I have on my computer. And I think you can kind of see that there, right? So one of the ways that we can open up the terminal on a Mac is to right click down in services, and you can create a new terminal at folder. So new terminal at folder, and there we go. It pops up over here. So this folder, and if I do, ls to list my files, you can see this folder has a subfolder called docs and then the actual app. Right now in the terminal, Claude is not running. So if I try to have a conversation, hey, how are you? I get an error because that's not an actual command. I have installed Claude on my computer. So that would be something that you would have to do. Go into Claude, find the download. It's just a piece of software that's running on your machine, just like a Windows application or just like any other desktop application. And then I would come in here, and once Claude's installed, then I just type the word Claude into the terminal, hit enter, and now Claude is running in my terminal. That makes sense? Enough for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Mitch, does that make sense for you? On a PC, what is it, Dave? Isn't it like Bash or PowerShell or one of those tools is what you use for your command line interface? Or do you use a Mac?
I use Windows. I just use the command line interface. It's not called anything. It's probably called PowerShell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when I used to do this for a living. I was using PowerShell all the time, and that runs in the command line. At the command line, you can type, all the old DOS commands and all that kind of stuff, plus a whole bunch of new Windows stuff.
So, Mitch, you will have to download, and here's what I'm going to do. How do I download? And now that Claude's installed, I can now have this conversation. How do I download Claude on a computer? Now, if you don't have Claude installed, obviously you can't ask that conversation, right?
Yeah.
But I might go over into my good friend over here.
Go to Claude AI download in a browser. It detects your OS and
we'll talk about what that voice was in a hot second, right?
That's Kate.
That's not Kate. Well, it's Kate, but it's not Kate. It's interesting. We'll talk about it, right? So if you go to claude.ai/download, this is where you have the option to download for your machine. Just like other pieces of software, you'll download it, you'll double click the file, you'll drag it in your applications, whatever it is. And then you'll be able to type the command like I did over here on the left side, type Claude. And now Claude is running in your terminal. You've used the Claude command to start Claude in your terminal. So you'll notice that, or maybe you just heard my computer talking to me. I have a interesting system set up. Once you go into Claude, there are / commands that you can run. Let me just go ahead and escape out of all that. There's a whole bunch of commands that you can run using the /. One of those is voice. You can actually toggle on and off the voice. Right now, voice mode is disabled, so I can hit spacebar and say, hey, Claude, how you doing today? And it doesn't do anything. When I turn voice, I can't even say the word voice. When I turn voice mode on, right, it's enabled. I can hit spacebar. Hey, Claude, how are you doing today? And now I can just speak, and it does a fairly decent job.
Go to Claude AI download in a browser. It detects your
fairly decent job of transcribing. And I won't be able to hear you now, but I'm just going to explain this because the computer will talk at us the whole time.
Yeah.
Because I hate typing. I also know from using AI, just using your voice and talking to either, if you talk into a prompt for ChatGPT or talking to a prompt for Gemini, whatever it is, you're typically able to give more information, and it's a better prompt than just sitting there trying to type something out. So I turn on the voice mode here simply because then I can talk to my computer. Now, the voice that you heard talking back to me, that is something that it's probably a little bit more complicated than I'm going to get into today, but just so you know it exists, you could actually talk to Claude about this. I have gone in and wired Claude into my accessibility service on my computer. So that's the voice that you're hearing. It's my Max accessibility voice reading to me what Claude spits out as a prompt. So what does that do? It allows me to have that little bit of Iron Man, Tony Stark, Jarvis type interaction with my computer. So this idea of the / voice, what that is a tool, or I think what Claude calls is a skill. And one of the things I'm going to show you today is how I build and use skills to get work done, like taking in somebody's business card and turning that into a contact, like reviewing my email and calendar for the day to make sure I know what I'm supposed to be doing, like taking an idea for a project, turning it into a project document, taking that project document to populate what I use for project management, a tool called Trello, to be able to help keep me organized. So the tools that I use specifically that I'm going to show you today are Claude in the terminal, Google. Obviously, we've seen Google, right? And most people know how Google operates. And then I have a new Trello board that I've created here, and it's called Kate AI Assistant. So that's what we're going to actually use here today. For me to be able to interact with those tools, I've had to go through and make the connections to these tools through the APIs. Now, I'm not going to walk through that. I'm just going to talk through it so you kind of know it exists. But the way that you can get Claude to talk to almost any application that's out there is by connecting to it through its API, its programming interface. So Claude can see my calendar and my Google Drive and my Google email, my Gmail, because I've given it permission through its API. Claude can see and interact with my Trello board because I've given that permission through the API. The way that an API works, simply enough, is it is like a address and a key to connect. So I could probably show you how to do it, but we'll see how this all works out. But
yeah,
API is probably talk to Claude to get that for us. All right, let's see if Claude's done talking. Hi, Dave. How are you? It's funny because I figured out how to turn the voice on. I don't know how to turn the actual speaking voice back off. So I haven't tried yet, but and the reason I like that speaking voice is I don't always listen to what it says, but I have at least 4, if not 5, at least 3, if not 5 terminals running at a time for me to be able to work on different projects. And when the voice pops up, it lets me know it's done with something, so I can actually take a look at it. Because when
you actually have multiple instances or terminals of Claude running at any given time.
Correct. That's what's been most powerful for me, because I can multitask, aka task hop, really pretty effectively. I mean, I'm good at it anyway, but this tool has really afforded me to be able to do that because, I've got this virtual assistant open, and then I can go to any other of these files folders on my computer, right? And I can open up any of these files here or folders and run Claude inside of it. So let's just say I'm going to go to, as an example, I'll go to my Google Drive. I'll go to my drive. I'll go to 2025, and I'll open up a terminal in my Make It Happen podcast folder. I'll have to type Claude to get Claude running. And now I have 2 terminals that are actually able to interact with on Claude.
So when you run Claude, when you attach Claude to a folder, then, and for example, of course, my drive is the root of your Google Drive.
Yep.
Then anything that's in that folder is going to be what Claude is going to work with.
Claude can also work outside of that folder as well.
In your computer, or like
in the computer.
Okay, so I can. We have a terrific problem with losing things in the Windows files and in the Google files. And Google's pretty good at finding it, but Windows is not very good at finding it. So a lot of times we'll say, "Oh, where's that image that we created for XYZ?" And then, well, I don't know. So I'll just spend 15 minutes to make a new one.
And this is, again, Dave, you see how much stuff I'm doing, right? It's all over the place. This tool has really solved that problem for me because it's helped me become better organized.
Yeah.
So as an example, right, if we go here, and I will go over to Google Drive, and we'll go into my drive, right, 2025, and we go into my podcast folder. You'll see there's, and this is what's interesting, right? So I use Google Drive and Sync on my computer. So I can see the files in my Google Drive just like they were on my computer, right? I stream those files. So what you'll see here, right, is inside of this Make It Happen podcast folder, there is a .claude folder. And this .claude folder actually includes all of these handoffs that I've used, that I just created for kind of going back and forth on what I'm working on.
It includes the handoff. It includes the code, if that's what you want to call it, to do the handing off. It's not like a mile of data. It's not everything you've ever given it and it given you.
Correct. The handoff is just what I've done this session. So I don't know how easy it is to read Markdown here, but this says it gives me the date and time. It says I put it down. It says what the session theme was. It goes through and talks about all of the things that we worked on, what we got done, and what we need to do next.
Oh, I see. It's kind of like the last date or the last.
Correct. It's the summary of the work that we just did. And I'll talk about how we get to this, because this isn't natively built in. But let's take for an example. Let's still, we're not going to go too deep into Claude or this right now. But if you look here, right? So see these Ryan Bunch folders and some of these other folders that are over here. I did a fabulous interview with Shay Purcell, Ryan Bunch, and Melinda Alec. I don't know why these got all put over in here, because they shouldn't be in my root. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm over in my Claude for the Make It Happen podcast. Hey, Claude, there are some files in the root folder about Ryan Bunch, Shay Purcell, and then from Melinda Alec. can you file those into articles and posts for me, please? I don't know why I say please. It doesn't care. But now what'll happen, and you're not going to see this here, right? Because it'll take a little bit of time to propagate into over to Google Drive. But if we look here and we go to this folder now, and this is what I really like about Claude Code, and hopefully you can see this over here. It will actually show you the commands that it's running, right? So now it's changing directory, and this is where knowing how to read code helps, right? It's changing directory. It found the files. It's looking at the files, and then it just moved the 8 files into articles and posts. So when you talk about how to organize, having Claude come up with a file folder structure.
Found them. An operations MD already flagged.
Thank you. Having those files available in a folder structure, if you have one, you're able then to keep yourself organized just by talking to Claude and saying, hey, do this for me. Now, moving 4 files, 5 files, not a big deal. But if you look at my exports, I have exports from 2026. I've got exports from 2025. And I've got exports from 2024. All of these were episodes that I shot. And see how the naming convention is a little bit different in here? I can come in here now and say, hey, Claude, if I look at my exports folder and my finals, I have a whole bunch of different names for files. There's no naming convention. Let's lock down the naming convention. Make it MIH, the person's name, dash the date. Update all files to match that pattern. So, right, naming files, organizing files, that is a big problem for me, right? You can see, like, I don't know how I choose to live my life, but it's really messy. Right now, Claude should be, right, it's going through and it's mapping the exports folder. It changed the directory. It's using a whole bunch of the computer's commands to find the files. You know, it's looking by the type. It's sorting them, all of this good stuff. And then it will go through and eventually 300 files across 11 subfolders. And the mess is just deeper than the casing. Before I rename anything, I want to check what date sources actually exist. A lot of files and no date in the name at all. It's going through and trying to solve the problem, you know, going through everything it needs to do to solve the problem. Give me 1 second. So sometimes I'll have Claude just go do the thing. And then when you ask it to do the thing, depending on the complexity of the task, it may ask you some verifying questions along the way. Sometimes I say, hey, Claude, give me this plan before you execute it, if it's a cumbersome task. So here's a great example, right? So before I touch the 300 files, here's some stuff I need. Notably, the recording dates and export files disagree. Ryan's records here, Marcus, yada, yada. So now Claude is asking me some questions. The date source, let's pull the date source from the media project file. I can dig that. Keep the date already in the name. No, we'll just go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and just recording date. We'll pull that from the media because the media for me is where it is. Precision, let's just do YY-M everywhere. That's fine. The actual specific date doesn't really matter for me. Non-person, so if it's not a person, we'll use the same pattern. That's fine. Scope, let's go into final and let's just do final and transcripts only. This will confirm what we want it to do. Hit submit. And over here, we should hopefully see that Claude will go through and rename all my files in a consistent pattern that helps me be better organized.
Mm-hmm. And this wasn't a skill you taught it.
Correct. It can just do this natively. Correct.
Yeah. Like just regular file operations and stuff like that is
Correct.
just a native skill. Okay.
Yeah. So while this is happening, right, we'll see this happen hopefully over here on the right side of the screen. We'll be able to verify. Remember when we started and I had the handoff? I ran a skill called put down. I have another skill that I've created, and again, we'll look at this in a second, called pick up. And what pickup does, pickup will actually look at that old handoff and tell me where we were at, while also taking where we were at and putting it into this new session of Claude's context. Because the way all of these AI tools are working, right? They work with this what's called this context window, and work basically think of it like working memory, right? So if Claude's going to do any type of work, it doesn't know all of the everything in the universe. That's not possible, right? There's only so much it can store. Just think about like us, right? There's only so many facts and figures I can remember in my working memory unless I go look something up, right? Here, what I'm doing now is when I pick up, I'm basically giving Claude the starting point with what we're going to start with. Because it's looking at that handoff file. You can see here, recording pickup of handoff. It grabbed the file information, and now it's telling me we picked it up, and this is what we're working on. The workshop is live right now. We're 31 minutes in. We have a hard stop at 5 o'clock because I got to go pick my daughter up at 5:15.
Doing well, ready when you are. What are we working on?
And what's funny is that voice that just came through, that was the previous message that Claude had, not this current one. So it is a little buggy.
Yeah.
But this is it right now. So verify it against reality just now. There is a reply that it drafted in my email inbox waiting for me. There's an old draft that needs to be deleted. I have an email reminding Tremaine about tickets for an event. There's a duplicate workshop here. There's a dead link. There's a Trello board that we're working on. I owe Kevin Sidebottom an email. And then it looked at some of my repositories. Everything is live. And that's what we're going to look at here in a second. So what I'd do next, this is telling me what I would do next. Nothing until 5 o'clock after the workshop in this order. Send Kelly's reply. She's been waiting since 9:52. Again, the reason it knows this is because I have connected into my Google Drive and my Google email and my Gmail account, right? So let's take a look at this. Let's do number one. I'm going to hop over to Gmail right now. And let me take a side step. I'm showing you the end result so you understand what we're going to build. And then we'll actually go through and build at least one of these tools, okay? So if I go into my Google, my Gmail, and I click on drafts, my good friend Kelly from the Valentine Theater is hooking me up with the director over there about being on the podcast. Kelly came with these questions. I actually had Claude draft this reply for me, and it's sitting in my outbox ready for me to send. So let's see, I'll do a quick skim on this. Everything looks good, yada, yada, yada. And then I'm just going to hit send, and that's going to go to Kelly now. I'll look back at my drafts. There's a couple other things. Here's an old draft. We can delete that. 2 other drafts that we'll look at later. All right, so now, one of the other things I want to show you, and this is a huge one for me. Yes. So, Mitch, if you do /voice, this will toggle the voice mode on and off that allows you to talk to Claude. The Claude speaking to me, that's above and beyond what I'm going to show today. But you could ask Claude how to do that for you, and it will be able to guide you through it, because that's how I figured out for me. So with voice mode on in the terminal here, I can hit this button, the space bar, and now it's going to be taking down what I said. If I want to get out of it, I hit escape, and it stops and gets rid of the thing. So I went through and created, sent the draft for Kelly. We're in the middle of the class right now. I'm going to go through and demo some of the tools. So when you explain things, please reply succinctly for me so I can share with my audience.
Now, do you have to tell it? You have to tell it that you
Chuck
sent
Vanderpool,
it.
teacher.
1 second. 1 second.
32 minutes ago. Log the pickup. Where you are, the workshop is live right now, 3:30 to 5 o'clock. You're 31 minutes in. Hard stop at 5 o'clock for Pippa at.
For some reason, it likes to read the previous message, but you get it. What were you going to ask, Dave?
You had to tell Claude that you went ahead and sent that draft?
No, it would have been able to find
Now
out, but
let
I
me
just told
record
it
the
that it
locked
did.
convention where the project already documents its rules.
I told it. I don't know why. Sometimes I do, right? Or no.
Okay.
I built another skill called catch up. /catch up, right? It gives me an example. Use when Michael asks to be brought up to speed, wants a morning briefing, or types catch up. So for me, and Dave, you know this, I do a million different things. I'm pinballing between stuff. I go walk and have a conversation. I've got 4 different projects working. I do catch up. And what catch up does, it's a skill that goes through and looks at my calendar, looks at my Gmail, looks at my Trello boards for all the projects that I'm working on, and catches me up. And this is why I like the voice thing, because then I can hop over and look at something else. And then as soon as that voice starts talking, I know that the work is done and I can go back and work with Claude again. So here is the GitHub URL for today's class. I'll share this with you all again in the link there. So this is a GitHub page, and it's also a public repository where you can actually go and you'll be able to see some of these files. So if I look at the skills, I've got a skills for the business cards, the daily briefing, email triage, and morning plan. The daily briefing, which is the catch-up one that I just ran, that's actually not it. Yes, you would set up this is your own skill. So we'll do that in a second. We'll actually build a skill today. But if I look at my business card skill,
Kelly sent. Remaining. Hand delete.
If I look at my skill for business cards, and basically what this does, it will take a business card, a picture of a business card. I can upload that business card to Claude. It will look at my calendar to see, it'll look at the picture, see the timestamp. It will look at my calendar to see what I was doing at that time.
Oh, wow.
So you can make a judgment that, hey, you met Dave at this event you were at. It will draft an email reply to Dave saying, hey, Dave, it was nice to see you at the event. Let's stay connected. But we'll again, I'm probably going too far, too fast, but we'll actually take a look at that in a hot second. This thing that just popped up over here, this is another skill that I have built in. Remember when we were doing the renaming? Sometimes things happen and you lose sight of them and you forget what you were doing and you don't want to read the whole Claude thing. So what I actually have set up is that when Claude gets done with some work, it actually spits out an HTML page that's a slideshow that tells me what it did. So this is another skill here that I've worked up that actually helps me keep a better understanding of what I've got going on, because the biggest struggle that I'm running into right now is because I can do so much and I can do it quickly, I lose sight of it. It's abstracted from me. And this is one of those things that I've done to help me stay kind of organized by giving myself the visual of what happened.
Yeah.
So if we look back over here at our files, looks like most of them were changed to include the MIH, not all of them. Something happened. We'd have to actually go take, oh, it's still running. Or is it? Anyway, we'll take a look. We'll worry about that later. But for right now, I think we're just going to go ahead and not get lost in that. But that was an example of what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So here is an example of what a skill actually looks like. It is a markdown file. The name of the skill is business cards, and the description here is used when the user has photographed business cards and wants those people captured. So this really is just like key value pair, some data that tells you what the skill is and what the description is. Now these are the steps. So a card photo becomes 5 things. It becomes a contact in my Google account. I draft an email. I also create a card in Trello for that person. I archive the original photo, And I will also get a honest list of what couldn't be read, right? Maybe sometimes the card is, the picture is blurry, something like that. So it finds the photos, it reads the photos. Here's the code that it uses to do this. It reconstructs the content. It shows me the plan before it writes anything. It lets me clarify it. Step 6, it does the thing, right? Verifies, then reports. And that's it. Creates the contact, creates the task card, drafts the email, and archives. So here's an example, right? I've got this business card right here. I don't know if she's in our system yet. So the other tool that is pretty phenomenal is, and I don't know if I can show this in my camera, I have the Claude app downloaded on my phone. And if you have the Claude app downloaded on your phone, the one thing that you can do here, there's another built-in skill called remote control. You see here, I can turn this on. I get a URL. I can actually go to this URL from my phone and control my computer terminal from my phone. So how do I get so much work done walking around downtown Toledo, walking through the city streets? I'm actually looking at my phone to do the work. So you'll see my screen right now. I will go ahead and on my phone, I'm going to take a picture of that business card. I will go over to Claude app on my phone that is running this terminal. I will upload the photo. And then I will tell Claude, add this business card and draft a reply to Alana that I thank her for her time in the podcast, and I'll follow up this weekend. So what you'll see, you should see here, oops, look at that. I didn't type it into my computer. I set it and typed it into my phone, and now my computer is actually doing the work. So Dave, now you can work when you're at lunch, when you're laying on the couch watching TV, you can work 24/7 now. Great, right? It's great. But now watch what this does. And again, the skill, it's going to go through the steps. It doesn't show me the steps, but I could honestly tell the skill, hey, I want more visibility into this. So when you do the thing, show me the steps of what you're doing. And it could actually do that. So it's calling Gmail. It's parsed out the information. It's creating a Trello card. And I'm going to show you Trello here in a hot second. Boom, boom, boom. There's the draft of the email. That's cool. Trello card exists.
2 things to correct before you send. The card reads Alona, not Alana. And the only email on it is info@4ua.org. The org inbox, not her direct address.
You can hear that, right?
The draft goes there unless you have a personal one. Alona Machenko, JD, attorney at law, founder and president. Toledo helps Ukraine nonprofit and international programs compliance government relations 419-902-4502.
Okay.
4UA.
So now this is interesting, right? Google Contacts has no API. That one needs Chrome. Want me to add her now? I'm going to say add her now. And this is what's phenomenal. Claude Cowork can actually operate your browser. So it's calling Claude in Chrome. It just opened up a browser window. It's going to a, I'm not touching anything. Going to a contacts form. And it's going to fill this out for us. I have, like, how fast that was, right? I've used every bit of, and I probably shouldn't be sharing her info publicly here like this. Well, support Alana because she's awesome and doing great work for Toledo for Ukraine. I'm not putting her birthday in there either, right? So we're fine. But I will have to cover that at some point, right? It's creating that sweet. So yes, Claude can even manage your contacts.
Captured. 2 things to correct before you send.
And manage your browser.
Yeah.
So now if I go back over here, right, look what I've got. A draft to Alana. Oh, our heads are in the way, Dave. A draft to Alana. Thank you for your time you gave the podcast. It was a good conversation. I think it will land well with people who do not yet know what Toledo Helps Ukraine does. I will follow up with you this weekend. Boom. How much time did that just save me?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got her contact information. I've sent her an email. And one other thing that I have here, I'll look at Trello. I've got a Trello board called Various Projects. We'll talk through what Trello is here in a second. But I should be able to come in here and search for Alana. Boom. It just created this card with her contact information. And I'll explain to you why I'm using Trello for contacts in a second. So, questions, comments, thoughts, concerns?
So I would expect that this skill isn't something that you invented. I would expect that it's a kind of a off the shelf kind of thing, and that your part of hooking it in would have been granting the API doing the API hookup, and maybe telling it what Trello board to put it on and that sort of thing. Am I right there, or are you like crafting this thing line by line?
I created the business card skill myself with the help of AI. Okay.
So it created the MD for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And here's the thing. There are a ton of skills out there. I would recommend that you don't use skills until you've built one or two.
Okay.
I mean, you probably can, and it's not going to hurt you. But I think what I'm finding out working with people in this space who want to be able to use AI is just grabbing another tool and using it doesn't give you as much power as actually understanding how to build the tools. Right? So let's go here. We've got a Trello board called, Dave, you might really enjoy this one. Here's my Kate AI assistant. On the Kate AI assistant Trello board, what I'd like to do is come up with this is going to be how we organize our skill development. So I want a list to do, doing, and done. In all of the done folders, cards, put the skills that we have with links to where we can find them. And then let's work on a new skill, put it in the to-do column called make a lesson. Now, this is what's super powerful, because for what I've done, I can show you this Trello board here while we wait. This Trello board for a client I'm working with, every single one of these cards was created from a document about the project. 90% of what you see here with the checklist, the documents listed, all of the conversations, this is all now managed by Claude. Of course, I'm going in and reading documents and having conversations, doing all that kind of stuff. But for me and Dave, I can assume with you, with multiple projects, each of my projects has like a Trello board. And now I'm actually able to have visibility into everything that I'm doing, and it's staying more organized.
I have a nonprofit Trello subscription, so it's like a pro subscription. I tried to do it, and it was so, the work to do it was so overwhelming that I just could not add that overhead to anything I was doing.
Yeah.
And if you've got an AI that can manage the Trello board, for one thing, you create a lesson and you generate a bunch of Google Docs, and they're in our Google folder, and they might have inconsistent naming, and then you don't know where to find, everything's named the same thing or everything's named inconsistently. You're saying that the actual document raw data is in Trello?
It's linked from
Oh.
Trello. Okay. So
I see. So like you've got a Google Doc that says, here's the final specification sheet, and it's on a card somewhere linked.
Correct. So,
Okay.
and we'll see this right now, right? So everything that you see here now was just created. Trello created this list and it created these cards. Here's Ketchup. It wrote the description, tells me how to call it, tells me where to find it, and shows me where the public version is.
Oh, this is the Ketchup
Yeah.
skill.
This is the Ketchup skill. So it shows me where it is locally, right? When you install Claude on your computer, there'll be a .claude file, right? Because they want to hide it so people don't mess with it. But then there's a subfolder called skills. That skill is called Ketchup, and there's the markdown file.
Yeah.
What's interesting is there is a helper script for this. This helper script is Claude created it. It's what it uses for looking at Trello.
Okay.
So now we have this new to-do, make a lesson, right? This is a new skill to build, turn a topic into a teachable lesson. Okay. Who's the learner? What is the output? We'll keep this simple, right? But we're actually going to build this skill right now. Okay. So if I click on this or try to find that file, it doesn't exist yet on my computer. Waiting for Claude to get done over here, and we'll do some work. Sweet. So this just popped up. This HTML is just popping up. It just told me what we just did. We resumed the handoff. We looked at the Ketchup. We captured Alana.
KAI assistant board 00FV.
So how does this show up? Well, let me see here. Hey, Claude, you just opened up an HTML file for me with a presentation that kind of showed what we did. How does that work and how was that set up? Now, this will be one of the more, and I don't want to do too much. Like right now, I feel like I want to task hop like a mother scratcher just because that's how I'm used to working, but I'm going slow. Remember to slow down for you guys, right? So here we go.
KAI assistant board 00FV57.
So here's this, right? I didn't ask for it. A hook did. A hook is something that's different than a skill, and a hook is something that I'll show you next time. But because that was popping up, I want to describe what it is. So a hook is something that Claude will do deterministically. So a hook here runs this hook is a script that runs every time I try to end my turn. And that hook is called a recap deck. Or this hook is called a recap deck. So a skill is something that you can invoke yourself. A hook is something that Claude does by itself. So when Claude gets done with some work, it will run this script. And what it does is it reads the session transcript, looks at how many tool calls it made. Because if we just did something simple, there's no reason for it to throw out a presentation, right?
Right.
But what it does is it looks at how many tool calls it made. If it does so many above, it will then print out what we're seeing over here on the left side of the screen.
Yeah.
So a hook is something that is different than a skill, but really does a similar thing. So, okay. So now we have our Trello board set up, and make a lesson is our skill. So
Is the Trello board make a lesson? Did you just create a new board?
No, the Trello board, this was my KAI assistant.
Oh, okay.
And this is where I have all of my skills, and I'm going to track my work here that I'm working on.
Okay.
So over here, what I'm going to do is Claude, draft a plan for building this skill. I want to approve it first. Now, why am I doing this in Trello versus talking to my AI, talking to Claude? Can you guess?
Because since you've given Claude kind of management over the Trello board, then any change you make to it, it's going to see and respond to.
Because yes, and because if I do it over here, look how much this gets lost because it's all temporal, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now I come over here and I say, hey Claude, review my AI assistant Trello board. If there's anything I mentioned for you to do over there, please do it. Yes, Mitch, Claude has permission to access my Trello. You have to do that by wiring in the API with an API token and key, or key and token. What's really interesting though is remember how we saw earlier where Claude was able to open up my browser and fill out that contact form because there was no API for that. If you don't have your API wired into Trello, it could actually open up your Trello board for you and do it through the browser. But doing it through the browser is not as fast as actually doing it through the Trello board.
And that little command you wrote, hey Claude, reviewed my review, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Is this something that's part of the general running instructions that it just does automatically, or when you open your session for the day, do you have to run this little command to start minding Trello?
I do it manually.
Okay.
I could set it up to do things automatically, but I really like.
You didn't ask for that deck. A hook did. How it's wired. In Claude settings, son, you have a
I'm gonna shut that off for a second and keep talking, so we won't be able to hear you. Dave and Mitch, wiring in the Trello API is something I won't be able to show you right now, unfortunately, just due to time. But it's fairly simple to do. Ask Claude to do it for you. And what will happen is it will give you the instructions, and then do not ever paste your API key or tokens into Claude or into any AI chat at all, ever.
Yeah.
What it will do is you will open up a file on your local machine. Claude will actually write the file for you, open the file, and show you where to put things. And then you copy paste into that what's called an environment. It's a .env folder, and you'll paste them in there. And then Claude will be able to read that through its process and not actually upload it into its AI brain to be able to use.
Yeah.
So talk through Claude and you should be able to get it. If not, there's some documentation out there. It's a little bit cumbersome, and we're not going to have time today to do it, but next time I could actually show you if we don't figure it out, because I probably do this again next week to talk about hooks. So are we
until you
she likes to run on forever, or it likes to run on forever. So, but what did it just do, right? So I have this text over here, found one instruction, a comment you left, make a lesson. It could read the board. This is what's phenomenal, right? It can actually read where I'm working from, and then it actually made a comment. So here's the plan, right?
Oh,
okay, sweet. Now I'm going to do this. Hey, Claude, actually make that a Google Doc file so that I can comment on it, and please attach it to the card. This will be another pretty interesting thing to show you.
So it's barreling through tokens.
And what I might do, right? Let me go over to ChatGPT. How to connect Claude to Trello. So if you're using Claude in the desktop, it's under settings and connector. but I want to use Claude in the terminal. So there's a way that you can run it in your normal terminal here by connecting into Trello through its model control protocol, MCP. You start Claude /MCP, all of this stuff will open up. The Trello would be listed. You could ask it to show you your Trello board. There's a whole lot of different ways that this could honestly be done, but there's official documentation as well. And again, this is another place where you're going to read more than you probably ever have in your whole life. All right, I can hear you guys again because my AI stopped talking.
Found one instruction on the board, a comment you left on make a.
So now look what happened. Here is now a lesson, or here's now a document for making a lesson. It shows me the Trello card it's linked to. I can comment anywhere here. So let's scope one lesson. Build new, already owns net new accredited course build, standards, issues, yada, yada. I want to do this. Because I build courses for different things, I'm going to actually make a comment. I don't use this. Create a new skill to build a simple lesson, right? And again, I'm just showing you a little some of the ways that I'm using this now to interact, right? Okay, everything else I think looks fine. Again, I'm reading. Who is learner? What do they know? That's what we want to answer before intake. Great, great, great. Hard rules, never invent a learning objective, right? Make the destination existing shape. All right, it's referencing some other things here. So I'm going to do this. Build, don't use existing skills, content, or courses as reference. That is one of the catches I'll throw out there is because Claude stores all of its a lot of its rules in the same place. There's sometimes overlap between things, right? Because I'm building courses for multiple clients. Those builds are different per those client needs. I want to make sure that there's clear separation between those. So I'm actually commenting here on this document. And now there's two ways I could actually interact, right? I could go over here into Claude and say, hey, look at the comments. Or what I like to do, Claude, review Google Doc, comments, and adjust.
Oh,
Now, another reason that I like to use Google Docs and Claude is because what this has done is it's giving me more visibility into what's going on, right? If I ever want to see what actually happened with building this lesson, to try to pull it all from the Claude mess on the side is really impossible. But now look at what I have. I've got the entire history of what's going on within this build on this card. So same thing, go look at the Make a Lesson Trello card, review the Google comments, and also the comment on the card. So any questions, Dave? I can hear you now, or Mitch out there while this does its work.
The window on the right is the Trello card for Make a Lesson, right? And these
Correct.
are comments that are attached to that specific card.
Correct.
Okay.
So now it's reading the lessons on the card. It's reading the Google Doc. This is what I love because it can read everything, right? Because for me and Dave, I'm assuming when you're working on a lesson that's a Google Doc, what you want to do is you want to make your comments as close as possible to the source, right? This lets me do that, but I don't lose sight of them. Because that's happened to me all of the time, right? I've got a module filled with 20 lessons, a course filled with 10 modules. I need to review everything and make sure everything is kind of working together and aligning. Doing and building this way actually affords me that opportunity.
So you use comments in the Google Doc to initiate or document changes rather than just making the change, which is what I do. I never use comments, but I can see here where it's like the second channel. The doc is the basic. The doc is what you're working on, but the channel of communication is the comment.
Correct.
Rather than having it reread the doc and say, okay, look for the changes in the doc. That's crazy. Go to the comment.
Revised plan.
Yes.
Now the only attachment on the rewrite is much smaller, which is the point. 1 topic in, 1 lesson out. 3 intake questions. Who's the learner? How long? What can they do at the end? It asks rather than guesses. A fixed 6-part shape, objective, hook, show, try, check, close. Same every time so anyone can teach a lesson they didn't write. A minute budget printed in real minutes, weighted so the learner spends more time doing than watching. If a topic won't fit that split, the skill says so instead of quietly shrinking the practice. 1 markdown file. No slides, no rubric, no course structure. Gone. Build new routing, the 2-lane split, COMM 260, and
Awesome.
DS.
So hopefully if I click on this now, here's the revised version. All of that other stuff is gone. And this is what I love, right? Because I should be able to go into my version history. And I don't see that old version.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because it changed too quickly. Anyway, so now what changed? Everything changed. Now what this skill does is it takes a topic and produces 1 lesson I can teach. That's the whole job. Not a course. It's not a curriculum. It's just 1 lesson. Who's the learner? How long is the lesson? Great. Those are 3 questions. The lesson shape, it has an objective. It has a hook. It has a show, try, check, and close. Time budget, kind of estimates on how much time each of those things are going to take. 1 objective per lesson. Try is never 0. It's going to use plain language. Never invent content to fill a gap. It's going to be a draft only. What it will not do, it's not going to do slides, rubrics, or any of that happy stuff. And it shows where this thing is going to live over here. Is the markdown file the right output? Or should it produce a Google Doc every time? I'll say this, Google Doc for review. Skill is an MD. Okay. Other question, what is the first topic to build for? Testing it. What do you want to build, Dave?
Guys, I don't know.
Let's do a lesson on hooks. Build. What is a hook, or what is a skill? Let's say skill in Claude. That'll be the lesson. All right. And now I'm going to go back here. Claude. Added comments to the doc. Review. Add. Watch this. Add label for approval to this card. Include a checklist for approval and bill and for approval. Once approved, you will be able to build the skill. So I've added comments to the document. Please review them. I want you to add a label, include a checklist. Once approved, we're going to build the skill. All right. So, hey, Claude, I added a comment on that Trello card. Why don't you go ahead and work on it for me, please? Mitch, remember our rule was we can only do one thing. So we're going to build something on skills. And while that does the work, I'm going to click over here to go back to this presentation, right? So starting with AI, and this is some of what we've done. 3 things clobber me every week, right, in my time. When I meet people and trying to remember who they are or where I met them or what they did, I've got my business card skill that then I can go ahead and do what I just did. My catch-up skill, right, or on my time, right now, even I can go into, because I've got Claude connected to my phone. Hey, Claude, we're going to do a learning session on hooks next week. Can you look at my calendar and tell me when a good time to do that would be? And now it will actually go do that for me. I don't have to go look at my calendar.
Yeah.
And then my inbox, right? When my inbox, I get tons of messages all over the place, yada, yada. It will actually surface up and tell me in my catch up what I actually need to focus on. A general assistant is cool. Building your assistant like I am, that's actually connected to my things, works for me because it's obviously, I understand how it works. It's almost like assembling your own computer, right? You know what memory's in there. You know what chips are in there. You kind of know the power supply. You know what some of the limitations are. You know how you can expand it, right? Because you've built it. This is where I think all of us should probably try to get to, and it's what we need to teach people to do, is how to actually build with AI and not just generate with AI. So a skill is honestly just a folder with a markdown file inside of it. That markdown file is basically a specification on what it's going to do with that skill. I have not always human reviewed my skills, but talking to Justin Beaudry, who is a software developer today, he says you need to always human review your skills just to make sure, or human write your skills, because they'll be a little bit more clear.
Both questions are answered in the comments. Output is a Google Doc for review. The skill file itself stays
Okay.
skill MD.
So let's see what happened here. On the hooks session, Thursday, August 20th, looks like it's our best day. Completely clear until 6 p.m. It tells me why not some of the days. But then tells me the best day. So now, because my calendar is scheduled, guess what I can do? Hey, Claude, go ahead and block off time on Thursday from 3:30 to 5 for this next session. Don't worry about creating the event for it or anything else like that. We'll do that later. So while that's happening, I'll scroll up here, right? And we went through and it addressed the Trello card. So we'll actually look at that on the Trello card. But remember, the skill is a name and a description of what it is, and then all of the steps. We actually looked at that skill file earlier.
Blocked, hold, learning session. Hooks.
The description really is the trigger. So I can say to Claude, hey, I can either type in the skill name, or I could even say, hey, good morning, run the morning thing, whatever it is, right? As long as we're specific about kind of our description, the description will then become the trigger for us for what we do. In this case here, right, with my contacts, we talked about this. I take a picture of a business card and it becomes a contact, an email, all kinds of stuff. Here's a broken slide for some reason. Not sure exactly what's going on there. Oh, I know what those are. We'll look at those in a second. The thing with my calendar that we just demoed was told me a couple things. It'll tell me like when I don't, what time I have available to book. It will also tell me when I have potential collisions. Like today, my workshop goes till 5. My calendar says I have to pick Pippa up at 5:15. Actually don't have to pick her up till 5:45. But I have to leave at 5:15. What was wild was called like, hey, Mike, you're doing your lesson, you're doing your workshop today at the downtown Toledo. You can't get to the school in 15 minutes. So it warned me about potential conflicts in my day, right? There we go. Well, I'll get that updated, right? I'll have to have Claude fix that. But what's super cool, and I think where a lot of this stuff comes from, right? is what I want you to start thinking about is drawing either flow charts of the processes that you want to have happen, because you can take this flow chart and dump this into Claude and actually have it build your skill based on your flow chart of what you want to have happen. So for me, I do just a lot of talking, interaction, and reviewing of things. Not everybody works like that. If I had a highly complex issue, I would go ahead and build out the flow chart and then ingest that to Claude to actually have it build the skill. What I did was, after the fact, I said, hey, Claude, build these flow charts from what my skill already looks like. But my morning plan, it will look at the weather, not just on where I'm at. It will also look at where my events are happening and tell me what the weather's like there. So maybe I've got an event on my calendar in Cleveland this afternoon. I'm going to be driving. It would actually tell me, hey, there's going to be rain in Cleveland later today. It'll include travel gaps. It will identify where there's collisions. It'll show me real open time that I have and give me a short list of 5 to 7 things that I should be focusing on first. My daily briefing, since the last run of the briefing, it'll look at my email, we'll look at my calendar, we'll look at my tasks, we'll look at my chat and my own sent email, and it will do a couple tests and correlate and brief me on what I need to do that day based on, or not necessarily that day, but what I did from the last time I checked in, right? So if I go into the morning and run my daily briefing, which is just my catch-up skill, and I go do some work, I send some emails, I move some things around on Trello. When I get back from lunch, I run catch-up again, and it tells me what I did that's different from the last thing. I've got my email review skill that I've built. It will look at my inbox. It'll cut out all the noise. It'll look at my last messages from people. It'll tell me if they need something. It'll let me know that they're waiting on me. It'll ask questions. It'll create drafts. I read the drafts and I send the drafts. So now we'll take a look, right? We don't have any new drafts, but if I go over to my calendar, right? You can still see my screen, I hope?
Yeah.
If I go over to my calendar and I look at next week, what did it just do?
Made a hold.
Now, one of the problems I have and one of the things I need to fix is my Defiance college calendar. It doesn't read that yet. So there's a little bit of a conflict there. I really didn't have that time. And this is a great example of this is where a human needs to be in the loop, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this over here, and let's maybe do this on Tuesday. Why not, right? Let's do this on Tuesday next week at 3:30. Let's go back and look at Trello. It's ready to write the skill. Everything's approved. Look at this. It gave me a checklist. All of these things are driven from my interaction with Claude, right? So now I can come in here and I can just click approved, build the skill. Hey, Claude, I had to move the date on our class. Check the calendar for the updated date. Also add an invitation to David Schoaf to that as well, please. How do you spell it? It's Schoeff.
Right.
It's David's last name. Also, I approved the Make a Lesson Trello card. So please go ahead and build that skill for us.
Bouncy.
So all of that work will get done. Ideally, right? We get to check things and make sure we check them out. And then if I look back over here, right, Make a Lesson, it added a label. Remember I asked it to do that, which is kind of cool. There's some things also built into Trello worth checking out. It's called Butler. So when you add labels or things to a card, it will actually go through and could actually create a checklist for approval based on me adding that label, a little bit of automation that's not an AI thing, it's a built-in Trello thing. I really love Trello because Trello is for managing all my different projects, each project having a Trello board, and now having what Kate really is for me now is this orchestration layer between all of my things. It orchestrates my conversations in email. It orchestrates my time in my Google Calendar, and it orchestrates my projects by being able to look at my Trello boards. Questions, comments? Are you learning anything, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I've got a lot of notes. I just have to organize them.
You're going to go ahead and also here, and this is for you too, Mitch, right? That right there should be.
I don't have GitHub. Do you use it as an integral part of the whole architecture?
Yes. No, not for the architecture of this, but for me, like being able to share things, share the code that I'm writing, and share like the class stuff that I build. Like this content right here, this is all created from a GitHub page.
Oh.
So the GitHub repository is storing the code, and the GitHub page actually gives a public view into
hold,
it.
Learning session. Hooks, Thursday, August 20th.
So I'll talk through this, right? This page right here, this gives you the installation instructions for accessing the skills that I've created. So you'll clone this repository by typing this into your terminal, or copy pasting this into your terminal. It'll make a directory on your computer called skills, and it will copy my skills that I have here into your computer. Now, the issue will be that you don't have access to my API. I didn't include my API keys in here.
Yeah.
You would have to wire in your own API in order for this thing to work. But you have access to the business card skill, the morning plan skill, the daily briefing skill, and the email triage skill. This also includes some stuff about what skills are, what we've got going on. Talks about a little bit more about how this whole thing works.
So you use
every
GitHub.
skill is just a template.
GitHub.
Your personal values are double bracketed and will need to be updated within the skill.
Oh, yeah. So you're not.
And if you need help with that, I can definitely help with that. But honestly, talking and have a conversation with Claude can get you there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all this is right here, this installation is just going to install these files on your computer. The business card skill, which again is a markdown file that's just the text version of the instructions, right? I mean, the big thing that I think hopefully everybody realizes is like all AI really is at this point is a translation layer from human language to code. Because what gets executed on your computer?
Code.
It's just code. So it's basically I'm saying AI right now is basically like a little bit of a compiler, right? You can take all your human gibberish and turn it into executable code. And then we've done a whole bunch of stuff, right? What do? I come back in here and I do catch up. And now it's going to tell me what's going on. So here, Dave, this is for you, but for everybody. The one thing that I would do right now, if you're going to start working with this, create a brand new folder on your computer that is your AI assistant. And just start working in that folder and ask Claude to go through as slowly as possible, adding these skills. You could even say into Claude, hey, Claude, I've got this repository. It's a public repository that Mike has or whoever has. Copy paste this URL into Claude and say, hey, Claude, make sure put these skills on my computer. It can do that for you.
Mm.
You actually don't need to do.
Catch up, Friday, August 14th, 4:54 p.m. since Thursday, August 13th. 1:59 p.m. 27H needs you today. Nolan Culver's reunion is tomorrow, and he's still blocked. He asked at 10:16 whether the Central Catholic content will be ready for the class reunion tomorrow in the alley. You replied, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That was a fun conversation. But right, this is, while we were chatting, these are the emails that came through. Here's the new draft that's actually not there anymore. My Trello, yeah. Kelly's thing was sent. Alana's thank you was sent. No clear calendar entry. Put on my calendar for this evening to finish the video for the graphic for Nolan. Co-host names for my event. Dave, you and Paul are invited to that. Yes, the catch-up skill is included in that, Mitch. The catch-up skill is there. What I would honestly do, both of you, go ahead and look at that skill in that markdown file.
On the calendar, finish the...
And maybe update it a little bit for what your specific needs are, right? That's what's beautiful about these skills being marked down. They're human readable, and you can update them for yourself.
The word you wanted earlier or
Hold
longer.
on a second. Let me
The description.
get it to stop talking.
You just update them in a text editor?
Yeah. Yeah. Markdown our text editor. Markdown is weird because it's hard. It's sometimes hard to read. But there are editors out there that allow you to edit it just like plain text.
Yeah.
But right tonight, it just put on my calendar to work on that for 2 hours. And it picked the time based on what my calendar actually looked like. And I mean, the only way I can freaking live my life, right? I mean, and I'm not trying to brag here, but this is my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. And vast majority of all of these have been populated by Claude interactions. So I am talking to my AI virtual assistant all day, every day, whether it's typing in the terminal or talking to it in my phone. Hey, make sure you send a thank you email to Dave Schoeff, Schoeff, for coming to my class tonight.
That's funny.
But I mean, and I think this, again, for me, with all of the things that I'm doing, this has been the way for me to actually stay the most organized.
Mm.
Oh, here, right? Tremaine, I've had you down for the Make It Happen networking event, but nothing. Well, that's actually not what happened, right? I'd have to update this. And again, human in the loop, right? And here it is. This is the email that's going out to the crew. We'll have to update that as well. Here we go. Hey, make sure you send a thank you. 2 things before I write it. Come Tuesday 2. Sweet, sweet, sweet. There's the draft. Thank you, Dave, for coming today. And you'll see that in your inbox at some point. But the way that I might use this too, right? And again, I'm gonna have to go in like 2 minutes. Is I'm sitting there.
Drafted, not sent. Draft our 616 quadrillion 348 trillion 2.
What might happen is say Dave, say you and I have lunch, and we're talking about something that we want to do. Hey, Claude. Yeah, I just met with Dave Schoeff. He's looking to do some classes on XYZ late September. Draft up a plan for what we might do, find some dates, put it together in a Google Doc, and send Dave, draft an email to Dave with a link to that document. Claude will do that.
Yeah.
And what do? I review because I want to make sure I know what I'm sending you. Because if I send something to the AI, just generates, I don't know what's there. You say, hey, Mike, about XYZ. I'm like, what are you talking about, Dave?
Yeah.
So don't, what I've found, last bit of thing I'll say before I have to pop off. What I've found is, again, because we're able to create faster with AI, we sometimes are losing sight of what we're actually creating. The tool that I've built and the way that I'm using my workflow with Claude, my AI assistant, And my AI assistant really is just a single place where I'm housing my skills and having my conversations. My Trello boards and my Google Drive, it's providing me, like 2 weeks ago, I was starting to feel frantic about all the things I had going on. I built this AI assistant and I immediately feel better because now I have better visibility into what I'm doing. How you feeling, Dave?
Great.
What'd you learn?
I think that this is definitely doable. It's definitely doable.
I know I threw a lot at you, but
I get overwhelmed, and I get overwhelmed when I realize how much I have neglected to do. I don't get overwhelmed by my current workload. I get overwhelmed by what has, by the water that's gone under the bridge that I didn't take care of. And then I can, sometimes I can still take action on it, and I do, but it's still too little, too late, and that's just not. You just miss so much opportunity when you're late. People, for one thing, if you're working with people, they expect a timely answer, and if you don't get an answer to them for 2 months, you may as well not answer it. You may as well just call it ghosting them.
I mean, that is what saved my butt with this email stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's including MIH. Thank you for coming today, because it's not about make it happen, but.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a make it happen thing. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, my whole life is make it happen, right? But yeah, so like, nice. That's awesome, Mitch. What I like to do, right, is I'm running that catch-up skill at least 3 times a day. And that's showing me what's come through in the email. And then I have the conversation. Yeah, I want to respond to that in this way, right? Like that email from Kelly this morning came through, and we'll take a look at this, because this is a really good example.
Well, it's 5:02. Oh. You gotta scoop.
Well, but real quick, right? Kelly came through and she had questions. What type of questions? What are the goals? What's the message? Blah, blah, blah. Literally, I just told Claude what I wanted to respond, and it did that. I didn't do that. I mean, I did this because they were my ideas, but Claude took my gibberish and turned it into a useful response for the user. So
yeah.
Well, I appreciate each and every one of you hanging out. Dave, I will do it again next week. Mitch, if you want to hang out next week, just stay tuned to the channel and the Eventbrite or the Luma codes. I'll be posting it there, but I do have to run and go pick up my my daughter. So appreciate everybody.
Okay.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.